Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. I am AJ47 from Soul Mavericks. In today's tutorial, we're going to be learning the swipe, continuous swipes. I'm also going to show you the double tap swipe. When I first started learning the swipe, it was actually the double tap swipe that I learned first. This is partly due to lacking the physical strength to keep the leg elevated above the floor during the swiping motion. This can also be attributed to a lack of technique. I've been teaching swipes to students for a long time now, and from experience I'd definitely say that the double tap swipe is much easier than the single legged swipe. And this is why I recommend learning the double tap swipe first, so that when you learn the single legged swipe, you have two variations of the same move. Nice. Warming up. This section may be obvious, but not to be overlooked. Warming up is essential to get the most out of your body. Here you'll see me demoing some of the mobility exercises that I would use. If you'd like to go deeper into these stretches and mobility exercises, do check out the mobility and flexibility playlist on my channel. So to simply gloss over these mobility exercises, these warm-up drills, start from the top half of the body and work your way down. You can pretty much use this warm-up for training most power moves. If you have any other areas that are a little bit tight that might need a little bit more attention, feel free to spend a little bit longer on each mobility drill or a very light stretch. The key is to cycle through these continuously. Don't rest, don't stop, because you want to keep the heart rate elevated. Even before this, I would suggest warming up with some jogging on the spot or some top rope. You want to have your heart beating and a nice light sweat, a pre-game sweat as one of my crew members calls it. Warm? Great, let's get to business. Prerequisite steps and moves. In this section we'll cover the moves that you should have before attempting the swipe. Make sure you check out my tutorial on the baby swipe. I'd advise learning this first, as it just makes learning the swipe so much easier. This is the only move I would consider essential before learning the actual swipe. I would then advise you to learn the baby swipe with the stab freeze. The reason for this is because when you're connecting your moves together, you want your footwork to go the same way as your swipe, as your freeze. Having all your footwork, power and freezes go the same way is a great thing to have, although not essential. There are many good b-boys and b-girls out there that this rule doesn't apply to. Prerequisite conditioning exercises for the swipe. In this section I'll be giving you some basic conditioning exercises from beginner to more advanced to help you learn the swipe faster. A common mistake is they do swipes down here, which is a really low swipe, but it's pretty much like a baby swipe. And we don't really want to do that. You don't want to have to learn mini swipes and then have to correct it later. You want to learn big, strong swipes from the beginning, okay? Make that a priority, is to get the right form for your first swipe. You must have the strength to hold this position. I recommend being able to do it on both sides for about 10 seconds. And that means having your hips up as high as you can. To do that, I am pushing my hips up, but really, mentally, I'm squeezing my glutes together. Squeezing my glutes together and contracting my quads allows me to push my hips up. If the previous position was too challenging, no sweat, give this one a try. But if you can't do static holds, do repetitions and hold for a little bit at the top. Really focus on squeezing the glutes and the quads as hard as you can. If this is too challenging still, then try a glute bridge, which is where you lay on your back and lift your hips up while digging your heels into the floor. It takes the arms out of the equation and will allow you to build up to the swipe hold eventually. Once you've got that move, you can hold it for 10 seconds. I recommend building the strength up via holding this move like this. So this is now before I take off for a swipe, okay? And just because of the sake of balance, because as b-boys, we tend to train on one side, which is fine. I'm not telling you to learn the swipe the other way. You can if you want. Once you've got the swipe the other way is relatively easy. Although mine the other way doesn't look as pretty as my normal way. On the other side, balance, okay? So you should have this kind of comfortable. Again, 10 seconds or more. Before jumping over to the other side, I want you to learn engagement of the legs. So you're going to squeeze your glutes and you're going to press through your heels to move to the ball of the foot, and you're going to push off your shoulder to standing. Try and get this nice and comfortable. Same thing on the other hand. Like that. You can use your other arm to swing you up, because obviously the swipe will utilize the arm to swing too. This is just to give you the strength in the legs, a little bit of control. Once you've got them, you don't always need to do it. 5 of them on each side will give you the strength and the confidence to trust in your legs. Having a stronger lower half of the body will enable your body to keep upright instead of having your butt sink during the swipe. Here you can see me swing from position 0 and land in a higher, elevated version of the baby swipe. This will condition our swing while simultaneously conditioning the shoulders, as we will be delaying the landing to build up that control once our feet have left the ground. Coordination drills, getting the body used to the swiping movement and motion.
Next is this simple drill. So you're going to go into this position again and you're going to switch hands. You're going to go switch, switch.
Be explosive in your legs and with the speed that you whip your arms across your body. This will make it easier to transition to the other side. The same is true when actually doing the swipe.
To learn the swipe correctly, we're going to go from this position with our knee. Notice how I'm not resting, I'm not sitting down on my knee, I'm up like this, okay? Two nice right angles. From here, I'm going to place my hand down and I'm going to step forward to this position like so, alright? So watch, place my hand down, I'm on my left knee, I place my left hand down, I bring my left leg forward like so. Now my right leg is going to swing across like this. And I just want you guys to try this first, just try it. Okay? Do that a couple of times to get used to it. Say like maybe 5 times, you go from here, place the leg down, swing, okay? Try and stick your leg up there for now. Obviously when we're swinging, it's going to be swinging past and through continuously. That right leg doesn't stop. Obviously if you go the other way, it's your left.
This next drill looks very similar to the swipe itself, but it's not actually a swipe. What you do is you swing your right leg underneath the left, swing it into the air, and then landing on the floor like you would normally in the swipe. This gives you somewhat of an idea of how it feels to carry your weight on your arms and then plant your feet back down onto the floor. Consider this drill a bonus drill. It's not essential. I never learned this when I was learning the swipe, but that's because I didn't make it up at the time. But having said that, I already had a fair amount of power moves before I learned swipes. On the flip side, my students who had no power moves really benefited from this drill, which helped them later acquire swipes. Great, at this point you're now conditioned, you're coordinated, now let's get that first swipe.
From this position, you have to swing your legs around and your body has to be taken high enough so you end up carrying your weight above your shoulders, like so. You want to be at this nice angle here to carry your shoulder. You don't want to be too low, and if you go too high, which is fine, you'll end up in a swipe 90, swipe handstand, or swipe air flare later on, but you really want to keep the swipe somewhat low so it remains quick. If you go too high, it slows down.
Launching and twisting for your first swipe is the part of the swipe that most people struggle with. This is usually down to fear, which is understandable because you're basically flying in the air and catching your entire body weight upon your hands. You will, however, overcome this mental block with practice. To launch into the air, I have to push off my left foot and I have to push off my left arm. So the power comes from my shoulders and my hips. And as I throw my right arm down, my left arm quickly follows. You can see my left hand about to make contact with the floor. By throwing my hands over very quickly and deliberately twisting my hips, this will give me the power to make it all the way back around and land in the swipe hold position.
Okay, we're going to try the same thing now. Go down to the knee, charge up, really push off your foot so you're jumping. Alright, go from here, up, rotate. Okay.
Once you've acquired your first double tap swipe, I would immediately recommend start to train your single-legged swipe. You can do this by doing it from the advanced swipe hold with no momentum and swinging straight into the swipe movement. This helps massively with conditioning to keep the leg elevated during continuous one-legged swipes.
So you've got one, we want to get 2. We're going to go for the double tap swipe first. So when landing your first swipe, going counterclockwise, you want to land right, left, go again. And if it's the other way, obviously you want to land left, right, go again. Now, a few tips when your foot actually lands. The harder you push off of each landing, so it's more like tap, tap, go. It will encourage your body to go higher and it will make less work on your shoulders. So from this, you're going to kick again as soon as you land, but your shoulders don't stop swinging. So your arms are pretty much going over, then straight over again, then straight over again. Let's try 2 now. So we're going to go from here. And our arms are going to keep rotating straight away. And as soon as our feet land, our right leg is going to kick again for counterclockwise, okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Like so. Once you've got your first 2, be really proud of yourself. Make sure the form is great on both of them. But try and master the 2, then master the 3, then the 4, and so on. Try and build it up to 10 swipes.
Let's talk about arm placement. As we know, pretty much all power moves rotate in a circle. There is no wait in between swipes. Make sure that you swing straight away as soon as your arms land. The first arm swings over and assists the hips in lifting the body up into the air. The job of the second arm is to swing round under your center of gravity and help twist the body so you have enough torque to swing again. Using this clock face, you can see I do about a quarter turn per rotation. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's a rough guide. I'm going to start this clip again where you'll see I'll go from 12 to 9 to 6 to 3 before hitting 12 again. Foot placement.
The general idea of swipe is to swap around. So if my feet are here and my head is over there, when I finish the next swipe, I want my feet to be here and my head to be there. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but more or less. Ideally, you want your swipe to go 180 degrees, all right? Rather than doing 4 swipes per circle, you want only 2 swipes per circle. This gives you a much more dynamic looking swipe, more powerful looking swipe, and a more efficient and effective swipe when transitioning into other power moves.
As soon as you've acquired one swipe, try and integrate it with different moves to different freezes, transition between your footwork, etc. Don't be afraid to play. How to train your swipes, reps and sets. Treat training swipes as you would lifting weights at the gym, using either high reps and low sets or low reps and high sets. Build up to 5 repetitions for 10 sets. That's 50 swipes in one training session. And as you can see here, once you get to 6 repetitions of the swipe, you can then start to lower the set count down. What you'll notice is the actual volume of the swipes drops down a little bit, but not by much, before going back up for 10 swipes times 5, equaling 50 swipes. As you build up towards 10 swipes for 5 sets, your endurance will increase, but so will the intensity of the exercise. Once you get to 10 swipes for 5 sets, I think at this point it's safe to say that you have acquired swipes. I've used this same method of approach when pretty much training all my other power moves like flare, halos, man that was a hard move for me to learn, and of course with the float moves like crickets, jackhammers, turtles, good old munch mills. Even combinations like flare, up to air flare, back down to flare, for example. Another little important tip to note, assuming that you already have at least 10 swipes, is once you've recovered from an injury or you haven't trained in ages and you just want to get back into the flow of things, you can use somewhere around the 5 swipes 10 sets method for your explosiveness and your execution if you're preparing for battle. Alternatively, you can use the 10 swipes for 5 sets range if you're just trying to get your endurance and your fitness levels back to scratch. Just make sure you take a well-deserved rest in between sets, but don't sit down on your butt for too long. The best entrances to start your swipe. In order of easiest in my opinion. The first one from 6 step, followed by from the knee. The basic swipe hold, the advanced swipe hold. And one of my favorites, the kick swipe entrance. I've actually given this its own tutorial. You can find that listed on my channel or in the description below. It gets even more technical still when you do it from top rock, the classic power entrance. The classic power entrance is the only one I'm going to explain, simply because I've already hidden the other entrances within the conditioning exercises and the coordination drills. The classic power entrance usually begins from an Indian step, and then you sort of jump back and box your legs like this. This time around, notice that my left leg is slightly further back than my right. I'm on the heel of my right foot and the toe of my left. Now watch as my right foot turns inside towards my left foot. The right foot rolls from the heel to the ball of the foot as it pivots inside. Good. Now let's take it back again and explain the arms. As I throw my right hand down towards my left foot, my left heel will come up off the ground and swing behind me. This will allow my left arm to swing inside underneath my center of gravity. Once that's made contact with the floor and a bit of a hip twist, I just continue the leg swing into a normal swipe. 3/4 of a circle is where my foot would land. To land in the swipe hold position to kick again for another swipe. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my best attempt at bringing you a half decent swipe tutorial. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Give this video a share if you think it will help somebody out with swipes. More power move tutorials coming soon. Like the video if you like it, and always, as always, stay fresh, and I'm gonna chat to you soon. Peace.